I know.
That's right. That's why I remembered it.
Good afternoon. Hearty Maine hello to everyone who took part in Maine Hello today, and welcome to the August 24th, Monday, 2026 Town Council meeting. Roll call shows we have Councilor Larway, Councilor Hardison, Councilor Marks, Councilor Demerit, Councilor Powers, Councilor Baker, and Councilor Quinn, all present and accounted for. The first item up is agenda review. I have one thing I'd like to discuss. Does anybody else have anything? Okay. I'd like to suggest that we move order 26-181, an action item, up to the very front ahead of presentation. So it would come after public comment, which looks like it probably be pretty sparse this evening, or afternoon. And that would be to allow the folks who are here to talk about the Penobscot Town of Orono interpretive plan to not spend their entire Monday evening with us while they await action items later in the agenda. Is there any objection, any concerns about that? Okay, good. So we'll move order 26-184 up. It'll be right after public comment. So don't get comfortable. We'll be with you in just a minute. Thank you. And thank you for being here. Anything else on agenda review? Okay. Approval of minutes. I take a motion to approve the minutes from our August 10th Town Council meeting.
So moved. Second.
Okay. Any questions, suggestions, edits? Okay. All those in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you. Public comment. Do we have anyone online who'd like to speak with us about anything that's not on our agenda? We do not have any hands raised at this point. I'll move on then to action. We need to move it. So I entertain a motion on order 26-184, order accepting the Marquee Museum Solutions Penobscot and Town of Orono interpretive plan.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilor Marks, seconded by Councilor Powers. Clint, do you want to introduce our guests, and then we'll have a quick presentation and then just a chance to talk about it?
Actually, why don't I just do the easy part? I'll invite Tilly up, who represented the McCoy Museum that helped write it for us. And then she can bring up the other representatives she has here herself. Just make sure the green light's on. Press the little button.
Hi, everybody. I'm Tilly Lasky, and I run McQuaid Museum Solutions. And part of the work that I do is facilitation of creating interpretive plans for Wabanaki people and other organizations. And normally we do our work with land trusts or different parks. And this is the first municipal interpretive plan that we've done. And so I'm super proud of Orono for taking this on and for your forethought in really trying to do the right thing as far as creating a reciprocal relationship with the Penobscot Nation. So as I said, I'm the facilitator of this work, and I basically just create the document from the work that the Penobscot Nation representatives do. So I'm going to have James Francis and Darren Ranko come up and talk a little bit about the process and what they foresee for the future.
Oh, yeah, everything that covered my water. Thanks, Tilly.
Hey, Darren, thanks for joining.
Hey, thanks. Thanks for having me. I'm Darren Ranko. I'm Penobscot Nation citizen, chair of Native American programs at the University of Maine, and graduate of Orono High School class of 1989. Anyone else? Maybe I'm older than a lot of people here. This is, I'm really excited that we're at this moment here because we put a lot of work into this design of a really, I'm looking at the representation of Chief Ord over here. I'm really excited for what I would consider a really great moment in the history of Orono to have really focus on this sort of collective history in the namesake of the town, obviously. And James will talk more about the sort of importance around the places and sort of how deep this history goes in terms of our town. But, I'm definitely reflecting upon the fact that the kind of work we do with Tilly is that it's not a single project, but a real vision for telling a story in a really deep and multiple set of connections and ways across landscape, across ecology, across history. And I think that's the power of doing this work. It's not just like, oh, we had a project for some signs, or we had a project for a little history, or this is a plan and a guide for the next, I don't know how many years, 15, 20 years of kinds of projects to really deepen the ties between the town and the Penobscot Nation, and this telling of our story of the collective history. So I'm really, if you guys adopt this, it will be a really exciting time. It reflects, of course, some of the work I've done on the campus at the University of Maine with signage and some other things that we've been able to do. But I think it's a real exciting opportunity. And just as someone who grew up in Orono, only seeing the name of a chief and not getting a lot of integration of like the collective history of Wabanaki people, either in my classes as a young person or across town. I think this is a really important shift, but I think it's, I'm just super excited about the possibilities here, because I think Orono being a leader in this kind of work, as Tilly mentioned, is a really critical thing. So anyone have any questions? I could go on. I have a 74 PowerPoint.
Load it up. Yeah. We're going to move you back to the end of the meeting. but we'll see.
Maybe we'll come
stay,
back
yeah.
for that. Yeah. And I know James has a few words as well.
Yeah. Thank you, Darren.
Good evening again.
Hey, Darren.
You're already going.
Oh, gee.
You're already doing it. I mean, this is almost like a formality at this point, because since the sign debacle, the relationship between the tribe and Orono has been exemplary, and it's not from our direction. It's from you folks. Thank you for the wanting to reach out to honor Wabanaki veterans. A day that is on the calendar in Maine history, June 21st, every year. It's a promise Baldacci followed through with when he shook Charles Shea's hand on a day that the state wanted to honor Charles Shea, and he refused it. He didn't want the proclamation. He said, the only way I'd receive that if it was for all Wabanaki veterans. And Charles chose that day, June 21st, because it was the day that Chief Joseph Orono allied Wabanaki troops in 1775 with the revolutionary, what would become the Americans. So it's about patriotism. It's about honoring those veterans. And you folks have taken on something where each and every year this town will honor the namesake and honor Wabanaki veterans. That was you. That wasn't on the document. That, is something that you chose to do. So you folks are already well on your way. And I just want to thank you. I love working with Clinton and coming here from Old Town. We have a saying in Old Town, it takes 2 zeros to spell Old Town, but remember, it takes 3 to spell Orono. Got to keep that rivalry alive, right, Darren? I just want to thank you all for all the work you're doing, and we do appreciate it. Thanks.
Well, it's like we like to say here in Orono, no is never the last word in Orono. So it's kind of now that Clint's here anyway. Great. Anybody have any I guess we do public comment and then discussion. Cody, any public comment? It's weird. It's like it's a beautiful day in August. All right. Is there any questions, clarifying questions, or let's move right into discussion? Anybody have anything?
I guess I'll just say I'm very excited at all the detail here for us to work toward. And strengthening the relationship between this town and our namesake and the Wabanaki nations throughout what we now call Maine, but in particular the Penobscot Nation, our neighbors. I think there's so many steps here that I'm really excited for us to take on. So I'm going to vote in support of this very proudly.
I moved here from Buffalo, Minnesota, which is about, I don't know, 15 miles from Orono, Minnesota, and I saw the name and drove through the town, and when we moved here was surprised, oh, there's two Oronos. I wonder what this is all about. And unfortunately for me, it wasn't until I got on the town council that I learned that both places were after Chief Orono. And I also learned, and this may be hearsay, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, that Orono, Minnesota has more historical items from Chief Orono than Orono does, which really shocked me. And so I'm excited to change that around, and hopefully we can have a friendly rivalry with Orono, Minnesota over our namesake in terms of being being culturally accepting of the true ancient history of this nation. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Matt. And you probably heard that from me because I was the one who went out there and did research and found out that there was that discrepancy between here and there. Yeah, but thank you.
Thanks.
Council Marks?
Yeah, I just really want to say thank you, Tilly and Darren and James and all the other folks who worked. It's such a detailed and thoughtful and caring and loving plan. It just really inspired me about the kind of relationship we can build going forward and all the various avenues to do that. So I hear you thanking us, but really, mostly thank you. There's a lot of work that went into this plan. I can really clearly see. Thank you so much. And to my fellow counselors, I agree with what Darren said, that it's a 15 to 20 year kind of a plan, kind of like our comprehensive plan that we have for the town, and which looks at all things around town. I'm someone who's on that committee can explain that better, but economic growth and housing growth and where we want to be in a town as a town going forward. And a lot of it connects to parts of this plan too. There's a lot of historical, cultural aspects of that and what it means to be a community together. I really hope that one thing we'll do with this plan is, I know it's in our structure to get from our staff twice a year, a report back on how we're moving forward on the comprehensive plan. I'm pretty sure it's for January and July. I'm really hoping we'll add to that there would be a report on this plan also, and how we've been moving forward on this plan that would happen twice a year, so that as council turns over, it keeps everyone who comes on to council aware of this plan, what's on it, and what we're specifically working on at that period of time. I know new things will arise, and I love how this is structured to seize opportunities when they're there and not to say, do it exactly in this order. And I hope that we'll hold ourselves as a body going forward accountable with a bi-yearly kind of check-in on where we're at.
Anyone else? Just, I will share that there's another order, and you don't have to stay for it, but there's an order 26-185 later on agenda about requesting the town manager include Wabanaki Reach training for town staff and council in the 2027 work plan. I suspect how we vote on this will be a pretty good indication of how we're going to vote on that. And I also share, I want to thank Councilor Marks and Clint DeShan for their work on this and their collaboration and bringing this forward. And it's been a part of our town goals for the year, our council goals for the year, under enhance and expand community events and engagement, talk about maintaining and looking for opportunities to expand community events within and supported by budgets that foster engagement, inclusivity for all, with a special focus on strengthening the partnership with the Penobscot Nation. So there's no such thing, no such thing as mission accomplished in anything. This is work that has to continue, but it feels like we're taking a good step forward in terms of the goal that we had for this year. So thank you for everyone's work on this. Any other discussion? Okay. All those in favor of Article Order 26-184? Thank you. That's unanimous. And we'll move back into our regular scheduled agenda. Thank you for coming in this evening. Yep.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. We're going to, we did public comment already, or we, tried to. We'll now move on to presentations, discussion items, Orono Festival Day, 5 minutes.
Yeah, I don't mind leading in. I mean, we talked a little bit about the schedule and shared the website the last council meeting, but this was a formal date. We'd have a discussion. And so, Megan is here on behalf of Parks and Rec to talk about the schedule. I know she's got more information if you had questions. I also wanted to acknowledge, two of the attachments there. It came to our attention. We want to thank the public for bringing it forward. That we had a goal or mission that we would plan events not on religious holidays. And we've got a list of those. In fact, DEIB will be reviewing those in the coming month to ensure that that list is still accurate. And it was an oversight. When you're implementing things new like this, this is what can happen. So we did schedule the Orono Festival Day on Rosh Hashanah. So we do apologize. There's a letter there that we put forward explaining how that oversight occurred, and that was not our intention. And I did put together, and what is staff's working on, but it's probably, I would say, a 95% draft of a little internal SOP on who the responsibility lies with to make sure this is not repeated in the future. And so we have a process to know where if something goes wrong in the future, we can find out where it was. There was no where this went wrong. Staff sets the date. We talked to multiple partners. We set the date and it was not checked. And there was no one to say who should have checked. We all should have. There was multiple public meetings and conversations about it and we missed it. And for that, it was an error in the process, but we have corrected it. So those are the two things in front of you tonight. One's the schedule and the other is that. We have not done, I did have some commute conversations and there was some insight given from the public in general that accommodating anything more maybe actually do more harm than good. So we aired to the fact that most of probably 80% of it couldn't have been moved anyway, just because of the other outside organizations that we were collaborating with. So we stuck to the dates. To say we didn't consider moving it, no, we obviously did. It just quickly realized that there was no ability to do that due to the time frame. So again, that goes back to the situation where we have a correction in our process and hopefully we'll not repeat that in the future. So questions for Megan and I on schedule or that process, we're here for you if you'd like.
Okay, anybody have any questions about the process or? I thought the statement went out to the alerts to town throughout the town.
Yep.
I thought, for one, I'm glad that there's a standard operating procedure that allows the council to review this. If there's a conflict with major events and make a determination with eyes wide open about, you weigh everything, you weigh things. I thought that, I have a lot of respect for the way that you messaged this when you learned about it, that you put it out to the community. And that's, we talked about wanting a leader in Orono who had exercised vulnerability. And I thought that was a pretty good example of what we were looking for. And I would say that the council was aware of this, the date. I found it as early as June 5th, I think, in emails or things like that. So to the extent that, and I won't speak for anybody else, but to the extent that I should have been thinking about it, I wasn't either. So didn't catch it. So I apologize for not bringing it up when I didn't make the connection. And but it was shared with us publicly months ago. So that's all I have for that. Anybody have anything else? Yeah, Councilor Marks.
Yeah, I just also want to say thank you to Clint and staff. I really appreciate how it was handled. When the mistake was caught, the whole way along, it was me that got a message from the community member originally. And I can say as soon as I reached out to staff, they were immediately attempting to reach the community member and to really listen to what would help and what wouldn't help going forward. And I really appreciated the care and the listening involved in that, along with everything that Dan's already commented on. And I really appreciate that there is a standard operating procedure now. So it's clearer for staff, like who is supposed to be doing what, so that hopefully we don't have a similar mistake. I appreciate not just the owning of a mistake, but the real clear effort to make a better system so we don't do it again. So thank you all very much.
Okay. Thank you for the update and good work getting everything organized. We're excited about, we got the Venmo thing worked out, right? Have we decided who we're going to? Okay. All right, good. Well, thank you. Next up, we'll do presentation B, the Save a Life opioid money update. And there's a memo in our materials.
Good evening. So here we are. It's crazy to think it's been a year since oh, sorry. I always forget to introduce myself and then I realize, in case anybody's forgot, I'm Dan Merrill. I'm still the police chief here in Orono. Y'all are stuck with me for a little while.
Yeah, good.
That it was about a year ago that I went up and first met with some of the staff at Save a Life in Lincoln when I was looking to try and find a way to creatively spend some of the opioid settlement funds that the town has received through the settlements. And I do have, and Cody has, somebody I believe here from Save a Life that we can promote to a speaker here in just a little bit to speak directly to the impact that we were able to make. But I think that it was a really, really nice and thoughtful memo that was attached from the board director. And I think when I was reading that, I was even just reading it again this afternoon, unbeknownst to us, and Beanie obviously at the time, is it sounded like they were in a real tough spot. Save a Life across the state sounded like they were in a real tight funding gap. And it sounds like we hit them at the right time that kept them from not having to suffer the same fate that some others, it sounded like, did. They had to stop providing services due to funding and gaps. And our donation allowed them to bridge that and keep the doors open and keep providing resources to citizens up there in the area. So that's kind of my highlight. That was what I was provided. Is it Laura or is it Ashley that's online?
Looks
It's
like Laura.
Ashley.
Oh.
It's Ashley, the director, who's online.
Okay. How are you doing, Ashley?
Hi, good, thank you.
Ashley is an Orono resident, an Orono graduate, right, Ashley?
Class of 08.
Class of 08 Orono graduate. So I learned that when I made my trip up there last year too. So that was a good little connection to make for the town. Go ahead. If you got some words, Ashley, go ahead and let them know.
Oh, yes. So we're incredibly thankful for your donation. The donations made a really big difference to a rural recovery center like us. So we're up in Lincoln and we're kind of on the outskirts of town, but we service just under 400 people a month. And those people are children or teenagers, they're affected others, and they're people seeking recovery or trying to stay stable in their recovery. And just for an example of just kids, how many we served, we're in the middle of our backpack drive right now. It just started last week, and we've already handed out 90 backpacks and school supplies. So these are the things we do that I don't think people realize what recovery centers do, and we're filling in a huge community gap to these residents who live in a rural community who have limited resources. And as we probably all know, education is the first line, in prevention. Because of the donation, there's this big state recovery council and they get opioid funds also, but you have to apply and sometimes they deny centers. We were one that they denied in the grant process, and there were a few others, and 2 centers in the state had to close. Because of the donation you guys gave us, even though we were denied, we were lucky enough to not have to go into panic mode. We were able to stay open. We were able to keep helping people. We applied again to the Penobscot County. We received a funding gap, and we can now use the donation you guys gave us to expand the center itself. So we're able to work with Tree Line and start working on an addition, which is a big deal because if you can ever see our center, we've crammed a lot of stuff and a lot of services to accommodate all the people we work with. So it's doing a lot of good work, and we really appreciate it.
It's great. I have been up there. They are extremely thrifty. Ashley is underselling herself when she says that she is like the thrift master. The stuff that they're doing up there with the space they have is incredible. The community garden, exceptional from what I saw when I was up there last year. So they are definitely doing a lot with a little.
Thank you.
Any questions for her or us? She'd be the person to ask questions to, honestly, if you guys have questions. I was the person that was lucky enough to hand them the check. They were the ones that put it to good use.
I don't have a question, but I just wanted to thank you for the work that you're doing. That really resonates with me, that people don't always understand like what a recovery center like that is doing in their day to day. And I think that can make these kind of like regional resources It's a really challenging work, and I just appreciate the effort that you're putting in and how you're serving this whole area. So thank you for everything you're doing.
Thank you very much.
Great. Well, thank you very much for the update. And this
Thanks,
was,
Ashley. I appreciate you
Yeah.
zooming in to help me out.
Thank you, everybody.
this was
good
one-time
night.
funding for Orono, right? From this, was it a one-time funding allotment that we were able to use? Yep.
Yep. I mean, I'm open to suggestions.
Yeah.
You know, we can always keep the conversations going at them and find other ways to put the money to good use, but
Yep. Excellent.
we have money for sure.
Okay.
So, that's what I got on that.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll see you again in a minute, couple minutes. Next up, we are gonna hear from the code department on when permits are required. What?
Well, EJ is working on getting our PowerPoint up. Is there anything in particular? Is there anything in particular that you would like to know about?
Yeah, we need you to introduce yourself for those who don't know who you are at home and just.
No one knows who I am. So I am Kimberly Zagsma. I am the code enforcement officer. And EJ,
EJ, Economic Development and Planning. And earlier in my career, I never thought that you could fill a 10-minute presentation with code enforcement up until the point where you start working in code enforcement. And then I thought to myself, we only have 10 minutes. We could talk for days and days. We're going to give kind of a 30,000-foot view of the code department, things we do, some basic things that the community should know about, how to contact us. Obviously, we're going through a process to educate the community on what we're here to help provide for services. There may be a lot of myths that are going on out in the community. People get confused. They say, I had to pull a permit, my neighbor didn't have to pull a permit, or vice versa. So we're trying to be proactive, letting the community know what you're supposed to do, because we really want to keep Orono safe. We want to know things are built properly, things are done by the book, but also trying to balance the speed at which economic development happens. So there's kind of a give and take, but we think we can do both. So planning and economic development, code enforcement, high level, ordinance driven. Orono has a code enforcement officer. I'm not going to read slide by slide, but we brought Kim on board to do the things that our ordinance says, hey, we got to make sure things are safe. Quick list of what the code enforcement officer does, looks at plans, building plans that are more involved that go to the planning board. Obviously, it's a combination of myself and Kim and others that take a deep dive into that. But eventually, all things that get built in the town of Orono come through the code enforcement officer. Collects fees, processes applications, inspections. A good chunk of Kim's day and life safety, Dave Daniels and life safety department, the fire department, we're out in the field inspecting things that are being built at various stages, and keeping an eye on what's going on. People call us a lot, say, I think something's going on over here that shouldn't be. Like I said, neighbors being noisy or being loud. Do they have a permit for that? I've gotten ratted out in my neighborhood already a few times with a jackhammer on a Saturday morning, but it was after 7, just so you know. We issue violations. A lot of times people want to comply. They want to do the right thing, but often it's a resource constraint or a timeline. We have found the timeline speeds up when there's a fine involved. So often we'll issue a violation letter. Someone needs to, they were doing something they shouldn't do. We issue a violation that starts the clock on a fine. At the end of the day, if they come in and get the permit or they address the issue, we have the ability to make that fine go away. And we often do. So it's important, but something that we're responsible for. Any appeals, if there's planning board appeals or people appeal our decision, code officer manages that procedure. Land use ordinance, if we have to go to court, Kim's one of the ones that will go there for us in certain situations. We provide advice. A lot of times the easiest thing to do is pick up the phone and call us and say, hey, I'm looking to build this. I'm looking to do that. What do you think I should do? If it's easy and you don't need a permit, we'll say, yeah, go ahead, go for it. If you do need a permit, we'll bring you in, ask a lot of questions, point you in the right direction. We go to obviously planning board meetings, Board of Appeals. If we issue a permit, we can revoke it. And then follow along. There are a lot of ordinances in the town that are meant to keep the people in town safe. So we're out inspecting things, plumbing, any project in the town of Orono, regardless of whether it goes to planning board or not. We're out doing inspections. The one on the left is a new bathroom renovation in a rustic hall. The picture in the middle is a slab for a garage, and then a new house that's being built, radiant heat in the floor. So at various stages of the process, we want to go and make sure things are done correctly before you cover it up. Before you pour a foundation, we want to make sure there's rebar. Before you close up that wall with insulation and sheetrock, we want to make sure your wiring's correct, make sure your plumbing's right. So all those types of things, various checkpoints along the way. Am I getting this right?
I think so.
Okay. If I'm not, you throw the challenge flag of code and I'll stop. We also allow all the projects being built at the University of Maine. We also inspect. The Morse Arena is a big one. Obviously, that went to planning board, but throughout the phases of that construction project, we're over there double checking their work. They have third party inspectors as well, but every step along the way, we're doing the same thing. The Sustainable Aquaculture Workforce Innovation Center, we spent a lot of time over there this summer. The expansion of the Alfond Arena, we're over there. The GEM facility has taken a lot of time. It's interesting. This well over $100 million project didn't go to planning board. It was built, but obviously permits are issued through our office, and we do all the inspections throughout the entire construction phase. So that does chew up a lot of time. Some various pictures along the way. So this is kind of in connection with the sheet that we provided you guys. This is on our website. This is kind of just a quick list of things that people are required to get permits for. This isn't a completely exhaustive list, but it kind of gives you a framework of what people should do as far as building permits goes. If anyone's ever concerned or not sure, give us a call. Well, because certain things don't require a permit, like I said, but the other things you may not necessarily think you do. It triggers getting a permit, but we want to better to be safe than sorry. Give us a call and we'll help you out. Contractors, a lot of times, obviously, a homeowner will hire a contractor. Contractor should know when and when not to, they have to pull a permit, but sometimes they don't know as well. So if you're a homeowner, you're working with a contractor, ask the question. Be like, hey, did you get a permit from the town for this work that you're charging me a lot of money for? We just want to make sure it's done safe, and it's documented. So if you go down later on, sell your home, people will question whether something was done correctly. We have a record of it and can provide backup permitting. Electrical permits, obviously we do a lot of that. Plumbing permits, it's kind of gives you a sense of when you have to pull a permit or not. We work very closely with the state of Maine on this permitting because the state of Maine actually gets half of our permit fee to help go into environmental education and outreach. So they're big on this one. If you need a septic system, you got to get a permit. Heating permits, new systems, a road opening permit. Anytime you dig in the street, you got to work with the town to get a permit. Groundwork, interesting. Orono is one of the very few communities. Obviously, if you bring in or take out 20 or more cubic yards, you actually have to go to planning board, which is an interesting piece, but it's a sort of an opportunity for us to just ask the question, what are you doing? How's this going to impact the rest of the town? We just want to make sure you get a permit. Floodplain management. We could spend probably days talking about this one. This is very intricate, but we won't. If you have a question, think you need a floodplain permit, give us a call. Curb cuts, you're going to add a driveway or take one out. You got to work with us, depending on where it is, town-owned or state-owned road. And then if you're going to connect to wastewater control facility, there is a connection fee. We work with Chris Prue and his crew to figure out the impact you're going to have on that system. And there's a fee, and then we just want to make sure it's done correctly so we can track. One of the things that we've been spending a lot of time on recently is our compliance team. We are one department, but we bring in folks from Orono Fire Department and Life Safety, the Orono Police Department and the Community Liaison, Orono Public Works, Orono Water Pollution, and even Orono Water VZ. We get together on a monthly basis just to kind of talk, share what's going on out in the community. We want to make sure we're sort of helping each other out because each of these independent departments are out and about in the community. They see things that maybe we don't. So we share what's going on. Some of our cases can be a little complicated and involve a lot of collaboration across departments and across the community. So this is something we're trying to spend more consistent time, not waiting for something to happen before we bring this team together. We come together monthly and be a little bit proactive. So, and then the glue that holds it all together, Maddie, she coordinates inspections, takes permit fees, all kinds of stuff, keeps us all on track. So she's out today. She would normally be here, but she's on a well-needed vacation with family. So other than that, it's kind of a 30,000-foot view of code enforcement. I don't know if there's any big things I left out that you want to talk about.
First of all, is there any questions or burning thoughts that you have about something that he didn't answer?
I want to thank, as you lead into that question, thank you for coming and do this. Code does a lot. You get a lot more questions than what they talked about today. And if there's ones you want to bring up, I think this is a great opportunity. Some of the ones that are unique, he talks there about fences. That's probably one of the ones we hear the most. My neighbor put a fence in because some people want us to double check its height because there is a requirement, even though there's not a permit. So, there's just the different things you've got to look at. Dangerous buildings, status of their projects. We don't mind looking. There's the 2 ordinance levels you have, 2 though, of versus, what they're doing on the code and building side versus some of the local ordinances we have where how you maintain your property, whether you should have vehicles parked there or not. And we're working and collaborate on those, but those ultimately do fall to this department to oversee, to check on, because it's a local ordinance saying that you're not supposed to park vehicles on your lawn. As a good example.
I think to add to what Clint was saying is that, the code enforcement department, not only do we go and check construction permits and make sure everything is all good with those areas, we also deal with the public when somebody has an issue with their home. If there's a rental issue, we go and check for code compliance there. If there is, we go and check the fraternities out. We go and make sure that those homes, we support our fraternities very, very much. And we make sure that they live in safe spaces and that they're getting the support they need in order to do that. We also our group is working heavily with the other departments to try and make workflows and make sure things that don't slip through the cracks. One of the things that, EJ implemented these meetings, one important thing that has come from it is that we're discovering that even though, Maddie and I are on the newer side, that we're not communicating well enough, say with wastewater treatment. There's added costs when we have a home that gets put online that needs to be, he needs to look at every permit that comes through, so that we can make sure that stuff is going on. That we're getting the revenue that we need from that, and that people have the opportunity to be compliant. So when we're not keeping track with everything that we're doing, it helps for people because people do like to comply. And anyways, again, back to the question, was there anything that we didn't talk about that you'd like to have answered?
Yeah, just kind of pertinent to this time of year, we have a couple thousand people moving into the community into a variety of rentals. And I guess just kind of broadly as folks are doing that and they have concerns about either if they have concerns or their parents dropping them off at the place have concerns, what would that process look like in terms of engaging with code enforcement? Is that is there an anonymous way to do that to maintain your housing? Is there a particular channel that folks should know about to approach that?
Yes. You can put a concern forth on Orono Engage, and that can be done anonymously. We do not share people's identities should they not want to, if they feel that their housing could be at risk. Our biggest priority when dealing with rentals in people's homes is especially in such a housing crisis, is that they can maintain that and live in it safely. So if anybody has a concern, please reach out to the code office. You can talk to our compliance coordinator, Maddie. You can send in an issue with Orono Engage. Is there any other way?
Email us directly, and we'll make sure that that the housing or the rental that they're living in is actually registered. Some kind of landlords kind of either forget or are unaware they're supposed to register with the town, and the registration helps us sort of through that process of inspecting them on a regular basis just to make sure they're safe. We charge a minimal fee, but a lot of it's just to make sure we know who's renting from who, and contact information and who to reach out to if there's challenges. So they're more than happy to reach out to us at any time of the year, before they move in, while they're living there. We're more than happy to make sure things are safe.
Perfect. No, so I now know why, EJ, you were able to dig a giant trench across the brand new asphalt on my street. Yeah, appreciate you explaining that process. Really do.
You're welcome.
Yeah. But more seriously, is there kind of some general guidelines or processes or procedures developers should consider to make going through the process as efficient and easy as possible? And I'm not talking about, the person who wants to put a shed in their backyard, but somebody who is building a house or building a retail center or something. I mean, kind of what are some of the kind of common issues that you see, and how what can we tell those people to make the process easier for them?
Yeah, I would suggest the second they think they may develop one of those projects in the town of Orono, reach out to us. We can help them understand the scope of what their project is. If it does involve planning board approval, we try to be very efficient, but our ordinance prescribes certain deadlines and timelines. The sooner we know a project is in the pipeline, we can help them navigate certain deadlines, making sure they have all the information submitted to go to the planning board. And the sooner we know about it, the easier it is. We can navigate that, answer any questions they may have, let them know some of the higher points or the points of concern that a planning board would want to know, just so that they can have those questions answered before they're kind of running up against the deadline. And we want to help them be successful. And the sooner we know about a project, we can help make sure they're in the right zone, make sure they're checking all the boxes, because our applications do involve a lot of work. And we've worked with previous applicants and know where sometimes things get tripped up, and we can give them a heads up and say, hey, make sure you know this question or be aware of this. Sooner the better. Let us know. Even if they think it's a year or two down the road, give us a heads up. We can help work them through the process, answer any questions, and make it very transparent and easy as they go through. Our planning board does have a major and minor application. The major applications involve some pretty significant engineering studies, wastewater, and other things. So it's important to determine what is a minor versus a major. The major adds a few more things. The size of the lot and the size of the building that's being built sort of trigger that, and those types of things. So sooner the better.
So what is the, so thank you for being here, and Kimberly, welcome to the team. I know we've had a lot of transition in the office in your position. And it strikes me that it's a tough job to be, hey, I'm here from the government, I'm here to help. And that's kind of a tough, particularly when you're looking at people's projects in terms of, and so I appreciate the challenge that comes with that. And I think Orono has a culture. It seems like we're establishing a culture of like improvement over punishment is kind of is what we prioritize, and that supporting people into compliance. And it sounds like that's exactly what you're trying to do. And that seems to really fit what we as a community kind of are community goals. What is it? What are you up against in terms of some of these projects where, how do you go to the Morse Arena where they're, you know, what is it, a 70, 80, $100 million project? And how do you, do you have to bring in, I mean, what is our role there in terms of, yes, you get your building permit. Is it reviewing stuff that their experts have put together? Because you could spend literally every day there kind of watching, I would assume, watching the project and understanding all that's going on from an engineering perspective. So how do you manage something that big and compared to, you know, whether a fence is 6 feet high or 8 feet high?
Well, that's kind of a loaded question for me
Yeah.
because I'm from commercial construction and I've
Yeah.
built, you know, Maine General Hospital. So I'm used to seeing really big
Oh,
stuff.
perfect. Yeah.
And I've worked for large general contractors. So that's pretty smooth for me. It's kind of like riding a bike. But I think the most important thing to remember about these big buildings is they're built one day at a time. I don't inspect them everything all on one day.
Yeah.
So I show up during foundations and I review the rebar. I make sure the concrete is where it's supposed to be at. And then, you know, the next week I come in and we're scheduling plumbing inspections. Say, for instance, at the jobs that are going on right now, I have 2 weekly inspections for underground plumbing, right? So I just go in on those days and they have ready for me what needs to be ready.
Nice.
So I take everything, you know, one bite of the elephant at the time. But it seems like a lot, you know, but it isn't when you have a lot of experience, such as being, you know, the counselor, the chair of the council. That seems like a big job to me, but I'm sure you.
Someday we'll find somebody who's up to it, but no, I think it's really interesting. And, you know, if you want to look at some bridges and some railroad tracks, maybe we could let you have you do that too.
I think that's EJ's department.
Yeah.
We did not, we're not responsible for inspecting this.
I know. I'm just, if it's too soon, all the more reason we need a new town council chair.
Dan, and I just want to add that, and one little piece, and not to, but the little bit of this is the synergy of what's going on. You know, I mean, again, EJ's new, Kim's new, Mitch left, so he's in a different role within the department. I'm a new manager. A lot of you are new counselors. You know, and working it all together, though, it's more about how the planning board, it's not about, you know, we talk about code enforcement, code compliance. Reality, what we're just trying to do is make sure that the planning board staff are all understanding that whenever we have an issue within code, the issue is because there's two sides to the coin. And on both sides of that coin, there is a resident every time.
Yep.
It's the one that's concerned about what's being happening and the one that wants to make it happen. Or there's a developer that wants to make something happen. And we want these things to happen. And I think that's really what's starting to move and making some good efforts and again, not that it was bad, but I think that it's just going very well with so many new people involved. I think that can instill a little bit of concern of like, uh-oh, what are we running into? I don't think they're finding that. I think there's just finding a very consistent message of what can we do to make this work? Here are the issues we're dealing with. How do we overcome them?
And is this kind of content going to go? I mean, you didn't reach a big audience tonight, unfortunately, but it'll be online. Is there a plan? I always look back at Cody on this kind of thing too, but I mean, is there a plan to get this kind of out? Because I think this is really helpful.
Yes, actually. So I'm very excited to say that we have begun. So October 3rd, I have a lighting explainer on the lighting compliance. I had a resident who had issues with the lighting ordinance getting out to the people that need it. And she has connected me to Travis Loncourt, who is a Maine resident. I think he grew up in Glenburn. I think he went to school at UMO, and we are going to do a lighting explainer at the library October 30th at 7:30 with our ordinance written in it. We also, and that's going to be Zoomed and recorded and available on, I do believe, Facebook and anywhere else that Cody Vigu will put it. That part's not me, but
Yeah, sure.
And we have like other ones planned. And then we also have a series of one-pagers, if you will. I don't really have a better name for it, for like what you're going to do with a permit. Like, when do you need a permit? And then dive into like, what do you need for a shed permit? What do you need for this? What do you need for that? And I think the important thing for people to know is we want to help you. We want you to build here. We want you to be here. So if you're developing, call me. I'm available. I will research anything you need me to. I will do whatever you need, and so will EJ.
That's awesome. And that's kind of the whole, like, that's the Your Voice Matters thing, not the pat ourselves on, but that's another one of the service promise things, and we're getting more and more of those things done. And that's super helpful to people. So, yes, sir.
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up on Dan because I really agree. I know a lot of this is on the website already. I recognize some of it from the when I should pull a permit page you just put up for us, but it was just so nice to see it all like, you know, on this barely more than one page. I was like, whoa, cool. I never realized that. And so I'm sure Cody's going to do cool things with it. And thanks for putting it in that really digestible, simple format. And you're right. When you go on the website, then I saw more links like, oh, click here if you want more details on that kind of permit and more details on this kind of permit. But just having such a simple place to start from, just quite apart from the presentation and all the great work you're doing. Thanks just for that too.
Good. Anybody else? John?
I love that idea of like the video explainers and
Yeah.
that like quick, how do you do this? And I, not in any sort of directive way, but just kind of putting it out into the world, that I think something that addresses the many renters and folks that are kind of transient in our community of, you know, being here for 1 to 4 year or 6 years. What kind of expectations should they have, and what are the, and in a kind of welcome to Orono kind of way, I think would be a really useful piece as well, because that can be really confusing as you're going out into maybe your first out of home living experience, to know what I can expect and what I should be able to advocate for, and what is just the way it's done. So appreciate that.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. If there's nothing else, we'll move on. But this was very savvy to come in, introduce yourself, and get to know us in this kind of setting too. So thank you. Yep. Next up, a man who apparently needs no introduction again. Chief Dan Merrill.
I'll do my best. All right, second time. So Orono Stops update, I saw after the last council meeting, Clinton was asked to just do a brief presentation. So I'm going to call this my presentation on the Orono Stops update, and kind of just at a high level discuss what the plan is. I'm hoping that most of you have already noticed the variable message sign that I had posted up in a conspicuous place around Main Street, out in front of a very generous donor's lot, who we all know, Matt. He's a great friend of the town, and I asked him if I could put it there, and he said absolutely. So we put that sign there. Our staff, I saw, and I appreciate the plug that you guys gave us for the Bureau of Highway Safety funding that we have. So we have $15,000 or $16,000 for speeding enforcement and distracted driving enforcement, money that we can use from, I believe the new federal fiscal year starts in October. So I think theirs goes October to September. Does that sound about right, Clint? Do you know the federal fiscal year? It's October to September. It's fall to spring. They're a little different, but loosely interpreted, that's when we'll have money for that. We have money carved out in my budget, my fiscal year budget, for some Orono Stops initiatives. Probably at some prominent Friday night hockey games, we'll plan on staffing the light again like we did to try and keep traffic moving in town as much as possible on Friday nights. Work with the community development, the compliance team, the EJ and Kim made a nice plug for. I appreciate that. Ed Lesky, who is our liaison with the police department to that team, has been out present at those meetings, but also been out refreshing the palm cards that Cody came up with last year for Orono Stops, making sure those are in high visibility places in town. Cody gave me the okay at the beginning of the meeting to plug his video. He said his video is going live tomorrow. It's about a minute and a half, just shy of a minute and a half. I took a little peek at it before I came up here. So the bus driver safety initiative that kind of was the framework that started this whole thing, follow-up video, should be going live tomorrow on YouTube. Cody's giving me a head nod, so that means they're all looking forward to that tomorrow.
Cody's pretty chill back there. You gotta get it read. Yeah.
I'll speak for Cody's head nods because the audience can't see him in the back. So he's nodding his head and he's excited for us to see it. So we're excited to see it too. So we got the BHS, social media, signboard, the experimental traffic bollards. One of the big things that Clint and I were talking about, good neighborhood rebates. One of the things that we made the tweak to the ordinance. Those are fixing to go out. The first person can get one early in September, first, second week in September. Remember, I put it in there specifically because Clint and I wanted to be, specific with people. It is a rebate. So it is on the person to who the violation was received to reach out to us to get the rebate, to get the rebate back from the town. And then we'll work with them to get it 1 year from the date of violation is their cue to reach out to the town in a reasonable amount of time and get the rebate back, and we'll work on that. Hopefully we can get some out. There's 4 eligible. Maybe.
Yes. For the fall.
There is 4.
Yeah.
You and I have to talk about something, but there's 4 eligible. So, is there any questions on what we're doing? Thoughts, comments?
Council Harris?
Could you, just to confirm that if there is an issue, residents have concerns about speeding or parking or anything like that, is it better for them to use the Orono Engage, or would you prefer the 866-4000?
My preference would always be 866-4000, because while Orono Engage is a great way for us to track resident requests, it doesn't generate an immediate response. Typically, Orono Engage would go to a staffer, Amanda or Cody, and they're not always monitored 24 hours a day. Whereas if you call 866-4000, you will get either our secretary or a dispatcher, and you will get a police response, you know, within a reasonable amount of time, where Orono Engage, most likely I'm going to get to it on a Monday. So it could be days before you get back to us or get back from us. So good plug. Appreciate that.
What do you think is in terms of the good neighbor work, and you did a phenomenal job of it last year, particularly with the grace that we asked you to manage it. You and Clint and the whole team managed it in I thought again, the improvement over punishment, and most of the time you showed up, there was a warning and not a violation. But how do you think it's being baked into, like, the landlord community? What is do you think we're making, and time will tell, right? I mean, do you think we're making any progress in terms of the underlying element that we now have this in place, and that there are expectations in our neighborhoods in terms of how people are supposed to behave? And I know, and so we have such an impermanent population. Like, John mentioned earlier, a couple thousand people rolled into town today,
Mhm.
and I love how Orono fills up this time of year. But how do you feel we're doing with that?
I think everything's got to start somewhere, right? Like Orono Stops, I think, has come a long way from where it was 2 years ago when we started this initiative, right? So I think that this ordinance and this rebate and this realignment, I guess, of an ordinance, the new vision that we want to do for the disorderly properties is going to take some time to take hold in town. The key stakeholders are the residents that are here, day after day, year in, year out, the permanent residents, right? Are going to need to get used to it. And the students that are here for a short time, they'll get it. And, hopefully their experience is positive and they can spread the word. And, through this rebate program, they can realize that you could turn something that might have been a negative that night into a positive, where you just gotta, be good, mind your P's and Q's, and go party at somebody else's house. I didn't say that. And it won't be your problem next year. So I think it takes a while to bake into a community.
Yeah.
But it's showing improvement, and only, so we've gone almost a full year now. We're in a new school year that I can remember one property we went to twice in a 1 month period last year. So that's not bad in my eyes. And I don't think that we had a dozen violations, really.
Yeah.
So,
overall, it's the work you're doing on Mondays and Tuesdays, the showing up, having a good approach for people to reach out to you on Fridays and Saturdays or Thursdays, or, but the work you're doing on Mondays and Tuesdays when you're following up with people, I think is really important. So great. Anybody else have anything? Council Marks?
Yeah, thanks so much. Just on some of the physical measures that have been being taken, I know we have the bollards out, which you were nicely told us how long they would be out, which was very hopeful. Is there any update for the community about coming downhill from town toward the bridge, where we had part of a fence taken out for visibility improvement coming off Oak Street? I know there's been talk about a crosswalk maybe being moved there. Just, is there any update on that area, and if those improvements are going to continue now, or are they frozen where they are, or what's happening? I just had a couple questions from folks in the neighborhood about what's in the works for that in the next few months in the Orono Stops world.
Phone a friend.
Mitch Stone, Assistant Town Manager. So the Oak Street
kind of area in front of Marsh Island. I don't know if I don't think they've done it yet, paint the crosswalk across, but they have put the landing. So that's all ready to go once the contractor that's painting will paint that crosswalk. The diagonal crosswalk is pretty much gone. They also tried to remove the bit of crosswalk that went in front of Marsh Island, which causes some confusion as to when I'm actually in a crosswalk. And you'll see that painted there. They are also going to paint kind of some lines, temporary, I guess, as best you can there to define that corner a little bit through the process. So, and then there'll be signage that goes up with the crosswalk. Can't put the crosswalk signage up until it's out there. And the mid lane pedestrian crossing signs will also go up. So that will affect that, along with the fact that when they do what they call the fog lines, the outside lines, they will make the lane widths. In fact, all of our lane widths will be 11 feet. They vary, especially in that area. They're a little wider, so they'll narrow the road through the paint there. That's all waiting on contractors. It should be happening as soon as possible. We've been working with the contractors to finish up those projects, but that's all should be happening here shortly. So
I just say thank you for the plug. This is where the community and the council has to understand. Code issues the licenses that allows you to be a renter. And then Public Works designs the road improvements that make it a safer community, and the police department enforces the ordinances and laws of the state of Maine. We coordinate all that. We don't want the resident to feel like they need to know everybody perfectly. We try to make it seamless, but yeah, this is where there's a lot of different departments that are all coming together to put these pieces together so the community feels like it's a better fit.
So those are coming and it's coming quickly. And then the fencing was my other question, that
Down.
partway down, is it fully down yet? The fencing on the parking lot at Oak Street, which blocks the view of the bicyclists coming
Yeah.
down the hill. It
So
was always the
we
biggest
know that
concern.
it was removed, the corner. There's ordinance that defines what you can have that close to the property line and on a dangerous corner. And
Yeah.
that part of the fence that was removed. I know that code enforcement is working with the property owner to resolve that issue.
To fix the rest around it, but
Yep.
the corner will stay down for visibility so that
So
there
that
won't
would
be
be
that
fine. Yep.
danger there. Thank you.
It looks much better in terms of being able to see
Yeah.
who's doing what, where they're going and why. So. Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, Councilor Marks has asked if she could do acknowledgements, lead acknowledgements by council members.
I had not, but I'm on. Okie dokie. So let's see. Dan tends to start at that side. So we'll start at this side. You're on, Rob.
I have none at this time. Thank you.
I have none at this time.
I'm also going to pass. This may be fast. Or Dan. Matt, take some time up.
So I just moved my oldest daughter into the university, and I had no idea how that was coordinated. And I got to see a lot of town and university staff, and I want to shout out to them. One, because they make that move in so much easier than when I was in college, and it was really impressive to see all the people out there showing us where to go, where not to go, get our stuff out. But I also want to just thank the town staff, the fire department, and also the police department. I saw them already at one of the frat houses, and I hope that was a good resolution. I was so they're out there, and I've seen them going back and forth. This is a very busy day, so I wanted to shout out the safety departments are all out there and probably working overtime today. So thank you for making this as smooth as possible. I know it's a pain. It's hard for me to get out of my house sometimes on Main Street, but I also love having the students back, and now one of my own is a student. So thanks to the university and thanks to the town staff. Thanks.
Thanks, Matt. You're up, Jacob.
Nothing at this time. I know we have a really incredible group of volunteers that manages the gardens and the public spaces around town, and just wanted to acknowledge the work that was done just outside here as I was walking in. Just an incredible, beautiful and functional pollinator garden that has been revitalized out here. Just looks really nice. So wanted to shout out the work that those volunteers in our gardens are doing over the summer.
Thank you, John. It's back to you, Dan. Consent agenda.
Consent. Thank you. Can I go?
Oh,
Oh,
you forgot to get your thanks. I forgot to call on you. Go ahead.
thanks. No, that's fine. Speaking of the community spaces, I noticed that, I think we're doing Kimberly left. Is it Kim or Kimberly? Kim, yep. Kim or Kimberly. Signs or commercial signs are coming down and like in some of those garden spaces, like the one at the intersection of Kelly and Main. People, I get it. Small businesses are trying to get the word out, but that's not the place for those kinds of things to last for a long time. So they've done a good job of kind of cleaning those spaces up. And a lot of people moved into town today, and I just appreciate all the work everyone does to make Orono ready for the start of the school year, the academic year. Things look great. So it was nice to see EJ on campus volunteering. I don't know if anybody else did, but he was volunteering with the Main Hello today. And I didn't see him carrying boxes up to the 4th floor of Androscoggin, but he had a good spot there. Right, this little thing. So thank you, EJ, for doing that. All right, consent agenda, John. Just a point we can vote on things as a single action with no discussion. Any member of the public or any counselor could pull something off the consent agenda. John, did you have one you wanted to?
Yeah, I was hoping we could pull order 26-183 off for clarifying questions.
We will, and we'll move that down to the action items. Do you mind if it just goes to the end or? Yep, thank you. Anybody else have anything they want to see come off the consent agenda before we act? Seeing none, hearing none, could we have a motion on the consent agenda with the remaining items?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, move to second. All those in favor of orders 26-180 through 26-182? That's John, are you up? Is that, yeah, unanimous? Okay. That's okay. Great. And now we'll move on to action items. We moved 26-184. We already took that one on. So next up is order 26-185, order requesting the town manager include Wabanaki Reach training for town staff and the town council in the 2027 work plan. Could I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Clint, Sarah, I know you've been talking about this with the interpretive plan and
And I have an update that came in after the packets went out. So we have been working with the Wabanaki Reach staff, and we've been going back and forth. They had 3 dates that they had selected. We had talked about some dates where we could pay. As it sits, if we wanted to do an extra round, and they've offered one of the 3 dates to us. So there's 40 slots available. It will be free. And if we can't fill it, we'll go from there, but we're going to fill it with staff and council. The date will be coming out from Amanda soon. It's May 12th. Thank you. Glad you're here. I didn't have that one written down, but May 12th is the date. I believe it was a 3-hour training. So the only thing that we're not doing due to the cost with the town staff, we aren't going to do, we're going to work with the shift workers that people have to come in because we don't want to have forced overtime where we have to pay people to cover those. But as far as all other staff, we're going to try to get it. Even some of those that have done it before, we'll do again. Obviously, priority to those that have never done it before. But again, hopefully all the council's able to attend and join the staff in a very great training. We'll get the date out to you. We'll fill it out. I think our goal is to have it filled. They weren't going to advertise it. It's May. They weren't going to advertise it for quite a few months, but I told her we'd try to have it back to her by the end of October.
it's going to be here or somewhere?
Right here.
Nice. Anybody have any, this is an action item, right? So that's the presentation. Any clarifying questions? Any public comment? Any further discussion? You could have been a little more savvy of you to kind of sit on that a little bit and make it part of your work plan and then just kind of, oh, look, I already got this.
I got one done before I put
I
the
know.
plan out. I mean, that's how I'm getting really good.
Yeah, that's really good.
Started.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Plus, we can all get it on our calendars now,
Yeah.
right? Early.
All right. So all those in favor of order 26-185. Nice work. Thank you very much, Clint. And I'm sure Amanda. We know how it's rolling, right? Order 26-186, order authorizing the manager to issue a request for bids for the library construction project after the final review by the Orono Public Library Foundation. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Clint or Lori or?
I think we're both here. I mean, Lori's available if you want. I mean, the reality is this is we have a schedule that's there for the council to review. That it's going out to bid. The bids will be in and presented back to us. This is pursuant to our policies and our ordinances. We have to have this go out to bid. It's fully designed. There's actually grants involved, USDA is involved. So as we're going out for those, the intention would be to have you authorizing me. We do not have the final bid packet documents, but with the foundation town relationship, they're taking the lead through the bid results coming in. So I would like you to authorize me to issue those bids and knowing that those documents will be reviewed by me, the foundation. And right now they're working with a third-party advisor as an outside set of eyes to look at what Haley Ward prepared for them prior to going out to bid. So I think they're on a really good process, as good as you can expect. The third-party independent cost estimator has it on budget, but very close. On budget doesn't mean there's many alternatives of the additional items we would like to have seen, but weren't able to fit in on the full budget. But every one of those will be an add alternate to it. Schedule will be an add alternate. Recent feedback is that it is likely we'll see some bidders that will want to mobilize soon, meaning this fall, late fall. But there also is the potential we'll see some bidders that would prefer us to start in the spring. So we're going to put it out to bid with the hopes that they would start right off, and we'll see where it is. And then I'm trying to, what number? We're on order. The other memo I gave to you is that I'm putting out a proposal for an owner's representative through the construction phase, which is after they're done their phase, the bids are in. Staff doesn't feel we have the capacity to do it internally. So we're looking at a model where you would authorize it, that we're not going to do it will be publicly available for anyone to request, but I am going to direct mail 4 to 6 companies that we've already identified. I've identified actually 5. I'm looking for a 6th. But to come in and be our owner's representative. And there's a memo as well as a draft invitation. It's a very non-technical invitation for an owner's representative, because that's what we're looking for, is they would bring the technical expertise during construction. And the example I would give is that Lori is down there every day. She looks out, sees something that we've talked about in some of the project meetings, and then all of a sudden it's not what she thought it was. She could immediately call me or the owner's rep and say, can we get an inspection? We want to see this. We're concerned. The other side is a change order comes in and something's not what we expected, and they want additional funding to design and do a significant change order. Well, we want someone telling us if they feel it's absolutely necessary, because the budget is important to stay on budget and meet our goals. So we'd like to keep it as refined as possible. That's what that's all about. I know that's a lot of a summary and there was a lot of attached documents, but hopefully that gives you a good idea where we are, and hopefully you'll approve us so we can stay on timeline for a bid award that could lead to a breaking ground in October, late October.
In a groundbreaking mid-November?
Yeah, so we're working on we got 2 projects, and we're working on the police station to have a groundbreaking there, and in all likelihood, depending on how the bids are, yeah, I think a real groundbreaking in mid-November could be on the table if the bids go the way we want and the contractors have the availability.
Council Marks.
Thanks for that. I was just wondering where we are on the financing for the project. The last I knew, it wasn't fully completed. The financing that's been going on out to the community for the final amount that Lori or Jacob or somebody could quote out. Are we fully there, or what is the typical procedure around, we're going out to bids, we're starting to hire contractors, but last I heard all the money isn't collected yet. So can someone explain that to me?
Yeah, Lori Carpenter, Library Director. We're about 196,000 away from the goal. That being said, what we've gotten for an estimate is pretty close. So we felt pretty comfortable going out to bid at this point, knowing that the fundraising is continuing. There are a number of grants that are out there that our campaign manager has submitted, and there are some in the future that don't have deadlines until the fall. So those activities will continue, especially since we have some ad alternates that we'd like to include if possible. So that's where we are. Anything else?
Yeah, I think the only thing I'd add is that we are in a place now where, depending on what the bids are, we could be in a situation where we've met the budget that we intended, or could be in a situation where we're slightly under. It's all going to be on the timing on what the real circumstances are. We have to be flexible with it. The town funding is the one that we have the control on. Those are going out through the bond issuances. We have that schedule. Amanda and I were just reviewing that and getting those on my calendar today. I believe it's October 5th is the day they put them out. October 14th, the bids are in, or it's 1st of October, they go out. Middle of October, they're back in. And then all paperwork done, finished by October 29th. Right now, you're at a situation that you've authorized those bids, the ordinances have passed. As long as they come in on budget, they will be awarded to the lowest bidder. That's the expectation with bonds. There's no opportunity to review again. As long as they meet the goals of what we set out, there's no other further action needed. They would just be accepted, approved, and signed.
So I understand on the bond side. And so what happens if we put these bids out, we start construction in November, there's still 110,000 that hasn't been fundraised yet. And the project bids actually are right at what we expect them to be. So we need that 110,000. How does that play out? We start and we get to the end and we just stop and we don't finish the last 110 until that money gets raised, or like what exactly happens? How does that work? I
there-
hope it's all going to sail right in the next month. I'm just trying to understand, how this works. I don't know. I haven't been through it yet. And is it common to be like, we're going, but we don't have all the money yet? And I don't know. I need a little more info on that.
I don't know what is or isn't common. I can tell you the reality of this project is that they're very close to being on budget and it's within their contingencies. They do have to have 100% of their fundraised promise for the USDA funds to be released, which will work with them. And that's where the foundation and I have had great conversations that at some point there will be a promissory that comes to the council if they're slightly short. But again, I have complete confidence that between now and this project, they're going to have more than enough funds. The grants that they have and the foundation sponsorships that are out there, they're close to having achieved their goal. And I'm quite certain they will, but I don't want to make people think that it's okay to stop giving. We're at the finish line.
Right.
We need the last gifts to come in.
Sounds
Please
like
make
more
those
like,
donations.
sounds more like we need people to do them. We're really close, but we need that last money to
And
come in.
there's-
This is that critical
That
phase
is
where you've been
the
waiting.
fundraising campaign.
Yep.
Right. Okay.
Yep, online foundation website. You can just click there and use PayPal or stop by the library with a check. Thanks.
That's excellent. Thank you, Lori. Okay, any other questions? The sun's framing you well down there, John. Yeah. Yeah, just taking it easy down there. All right. Okay, all those in favor, we moved it and everything, right? Okay. All those in favor of order 26-186, authorizing the request for bids to the library. Great, that's unanimous. Okay, order 26-187, order nominating someone to serve on the open seat on the Maine Municipal Association's Legislative Policy Committee.
It's the last minute ad and you need a motion a second, and then I can explain.
Okay, yeah, no, we
So moved. Second.
all right.
So, I am your representative to the LPC for the Maine, and that's the Legislative Policy Committee of the Maine Municipal Association. We work as a collaborate of all the members to share on thoughts on what we think the state should do on some of the legislation. And so what happens is we get two from this district. You nominated me as the representative. Mitch was the person I was going to name as the alternate. They've gone out now 2 additional times. I've inquired both times. They cannot find a person to fill the second seat. I mean, it's not uncommon. In fact, in many of the larger communities, they try to fill both seats in the bigger areas. I'm personally not a huge fan of the same community having both seats, but no one wants it. No one's willing to serve. Most of these are online. I didn't want to fill it with who it was, but I was thinking since Mitch is serving as the alternate, if you wanted it, it would be nice to have a full slate. They are still waiting. I had confirmed late last week. They still hadn't filled it. I'd met with them in person a week and a half ago and just said we were leery about filling the second seat. And they said, don't worry about it. It happens quite frequently. So it's up to you. I wanted it on your agenda. We wouldn't be meeting again for quite a few more weeks. And their next meeting, I believe, is next week. So if we were able to fill it and you voted to do it, I think they were willing to accept our nomination.
Are they like 6-hour meetings though? I mean, is that kind of,
Some of them are extremely long. I sat in one that was about 5-6 hours the other day. Some of them are a couple hours at a time. So yeah, it would be a time drain for what we do. If there's commitments, both of us would not be attending simultaneously. I didn't want to put a name in. Mitch was the only name I had. I know Counselor had been asked, you nominated me. I don't think any of you were interested. It has to be an elected official or an employee of the town. There's no at-large.
no, I did it. I begged, I tried it and I couldn't do it.
It's a lot.
It was a long time and it's kind of dominated by city there's not a lot of listening on the call. That in my experience. What's that? Is it changing? Good. A good culture of listening. Good. All right.
Yeah.
I would respectfully decline, but thank you for.
And we don't have. They can leave it empty. I just wanted you to be aware that no one in the region was interested.
Yeah. I think it's great. And we hear about your office is stretched pretty thin as it is. We ask a lot of you. I don't know if you want it, we'll do it. I would support whatever you ask us to do, but
So am
I
I hearing,
patiently urged them to find another candidate. They're not. I came in here because I felt if I didn't tell you, I was not giving you all the information. I am fine either way. Fill it or don't fill it. It's not going to be bothersome to me.
did I understand correctly that if we do fill it, however, you and Mitch would make decisions between yourselves about who can go on a given week and not both of you when it's really not convenient? Is there an advantage to us to having two seats? Do we get to vote on anything important by having two people?
Two voices are more than one. I guess is all I would say. So if we had something that was very important, we would have the ability to share more. But I'm if you have not caught on, I'm not shy. And
Yeah,
I
you tell us
represent
in-
our interests quite
yeah,
well
yeah.
and advocate very strongly on behalf of all the people in our district and the entire state and what I think's best. So if you want to leave it, you can leave it. Mitch is my alternate, so there's always one of us there no matter what anyway.
I feel like we put Mitch through so much last year with the Orono Festival Day. I mean, that was kind of a, government hero work that if you want to do it, can you give a, you want to? All right, I'm gonna vote against it. All right, can we just, what do we do? Just vote no?
Vote down? Just vote it down.
All right,
We just vote.
yeah, okay. All those in favor, right? Okay. All those opposed? That's the first time we've ever done this, I think. All right, that's unanimous, 7-0, or 0-7, or however you, I don't even know how we vote stuff down around here. Okay. No, we do a pretty good job of finding a path. All right. Oh, the item from the consent agenda. Yeah, that was order 26-183. Could we get a motion putting it on the table? Order 26-183, authorizing the town manager to submit an application for $23,000 for financial assistance under the fiscal year 2025 Homeland Security Grant Program, accepting the accepting and funds awarded, and further authorizing town manager to expend said funds in accordance with the grant. Can I get a, so moved? And can I get a second?
Second.
Moved and second. Clinton, what's this all about?
Do we have, yeah, so it's a Homeland grant. They do it every year. That's why it's on the consent calendar. It goes towards a variety of items each year. It's a different list of equipment they typically do. I don't know if staff, since you pulled it, has any ideas of what this year's use was. Can anybody come up and share?
Yeah, and well, he's on his way up. I can clarify why I wanted it pulled off the agenda was just the expended as the grant specifies. Just I wanted to see if that was a any sort of encumbrances on the town or
I can tell you it's a no match grant. We're
Yeah.
not entitled to, there's no cash match by the town. It's 100%. Do you know the uses in the application of what it would be used for?
Yep, Brian Hardison, Deputy Fire Chief. This is the yearly grant we get for operating our hazmat team. We'll work with MEMA and developing a budget on operating our team. We're working with the grant preparedness specialist now. We have a meeting with her next week. We work with MEMA to develop and submit this budget. It helps develop some state legislation to increase funding for all the teams in the state. Currently, there's 5 active teams in the state, and we are one of them. A lot of this, it helps replace equipment that's aged out, fixes equipment that malfunctions or breaks, all our meters and monitors. So it has everything to do with hazmat, hazardous materials team. And we use it, we work with finance. So any bills that we get that fall under the hazmat, we fill out a form, it's submitted, we work with finance, and the money is reimbursed. And our budget helps MEMA and understand the actual cost of operating teams. So we also get money from the University of Maine and Penobscot County. So even though this is only 23,000, which I think is less than last year. Yeah, a little bit less than last year. we're working with Penobscot County, and their grant funding process. All this money just helps support our team.
Yep. No connection with immigration or
No.
anything like that, right? So
No,
yep.
for instance, the train derailment.
Yep.
We know that's money that we submitted that money for reimbursement for our response to it. But if we, any equipment that we go through and have used, this is what would help replace it, that we don't get recouped in cost.
We can provide too, if the council wants to, we can provide the prior years, things we've done with it as a summary. I mean, this is, like I said, it's been a year in.
Yeah,
year
I
out,
don't
but-
think at least for me personally, not necessarily looking for anything in depth, but when the agenda went out and looking up kind of where these grants can go, was everything from the identity verification public cameras to, as you were, and I was able to do a tour of the fire station right before graduation and see that response team kind of like gearing up and looking to manage a large event like that. And both of those things were included on here, and I assumed it was going towards that part, but wanted to just pull it off and make sure that that's where it was
No, we'll
falling.
do a memo in the future on all the time when it comes in, so you know what the intended budget is.
That makes
Yep.
sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Brian. Anybody else have any questions about that? Any public comment? Cody, we're good? All right. Any more discussion? Okay. All those in favor of order 26-183? Good, thanks. John, thanks for asking those questions. All right, now we're on to council committee reports. Is that right? We'll start with the Community Development Committee.
We had our meeting last week. We had a quick discussion on what group is in charge of the comp plan implementation, which I know that there's a various groups, and we and as part of that, we thought that the community development might at least have eyes on what was going on going into the future. And we also had our charge updated, which we will be sending to Amanda. And then we will be giving a couple of reports that you guys can review. One of the reports will be on the Route 2 speeding issues. So I'll be working with John to analyze the speed data if we have updated data this year or this fall as the students come back. And the goal was to shift the top quintile of speeders down to the second quintile. This may have issues, so we will just give you a report on whether that's a good goal or a poor goal. And we're totally fine with saying this goal is not achievable, but we will let you know, and we'll discuss in that report. You will get our final kind of conclusions of how to look at this data and what we'll do, and some suggestions of how to go forward with safety on Route 2. Then we also will have a quick report on some completed work that we've already done that you've asked us to do. All right, that's it. Thanks.
Thank you. Finance Operations Committee.
Yeah, had our first meeting after the summer today, went through our referrals for the year, and that'll be included in a report along with all the other committee reports later this fall. There likely will be a referral request regarding fire data coming to council for discussion and potential referral to committee next meeting or the meeting after. But other than that, we continue to plug.
Okay, hey, appreciate it. Kneecap.
Nothing at this time.
Ordinance Review Committee. Councilor Hardison is going to give us an update on the.
This time we continue to review of the utilities ordinance. And we've asked staff to look into options on tracking and billing large users of the system. One thing to note that I learned, homeowners with sump pumps in their basements It's key to know that you should not have your sump pump tied into the public sewer system. There's concern of pollutants and contributing to the max capacity of the sewer line. And, yeah, I think that's whatever
Yeah.
you.
No, yeah, that was it. It was really interesting. We saved you like the political fight of like the decade for going basement by basement and inspecting people, EJ, right? I mean, bring Kim back for this one, inspecting people's, whether they have their sump pumps hooked up to the sewer system or not. And it's extremely difficult process to consider. But I thought the conversation we were having about the, largest users and how much sewer they're putting in and potentially unbilled sewer. Because we bill people on the water that they take in from the water system, the water district. And we have some big users across the whole system. We're putting more water into the sewer system than we're charging for in terms of the water that people pay for. But our largest user in town is particularly just a lot of gallons that are coming back that aren't being captured by what we're billing. So it's going to be an interesting conversation. We've asked staff to work with our biggest user and have some conversations, come back to us with some potential solutions in a collaborative kind of way. DEIB,
We have no update of this.
Heart of Orono Main Committee, home.
Yeah, our survey is still live and will be through the Orono Days Festival, Orono Festival Days, but otherwise no updates.
John, where do people find that survey to take it?
Oh, great question. There are a variety of flyers up around town that folks can scan the QR code. It's also available on the town's social media and the town's website.
I always like it when people decide that they're just going to start commenting on the Facebook post as opposed to, I think Cody handles those with some grace when that happens. All right, the updates, any council liaisons to boards and committees? Anybody have anything else on that front? Chairs update, I don't have anything. I got a couple things for future agenda items, but nothing in this space. Though I do think we want to talk about the comp plan and where we want that to fall, whether I think as we do the work of it, when the community development committee was set up, it was set up the ordinance review committee was set up with kind of a beginning of oversight before Rob did the good work of putting together the comprehensive plan committee. So the ordinance review has been kind of out of that space, but now that now that the plan's been completed, which committee, if any, we'll have to think about this, which committee does the council want kind of have a role in working with staff to make sure that we're doing this twice a year review and having those conversations. So, okay.
Hey, Cody, where on the website, do you mind if I ask, where is the survey we just talked about on the website? Okay, because I just looked. Thank you.
Yeah, that just got pointed out to me at this end of the table as well, that I looked right to camera and told a lie.
That's okay.
I do know that it's on the social medias and
It's coming.
posted around town.
It's coming quick. Thanks.
Yeah. And Cody is working
Old
to make
lie. So there's
I appreciate
those
it.
those little internet troll people that are looking for government making mistakes so they can generate some. That's gross, but whatever. I think about it, the thousands of things I say in a meeting that could be taken. Anyway, town manager's report. I like this written report, by the way.
Well, good. I'm trying to do my best. It was a little different. The first week I had a month leading into it, and now it was a 2-week turnaround. But I still think it comes pretty good to throw in there and get the summary of the thoughts. And if people have more information or more questions, please follow up with me. I am the update train derailment follow-up. I am having a meeting this week with CSX. The Federal Rail Administration oversees it, but from what I understood from the state, they never said one way or another. They put me in contact with CSX. The reality is a train derailment of that nature, there's some federal statutes, and it was not over any of them or within a purview of what should be done through a mandatory federal investigation, but they are required, CSX is required to do that, and I've asked for some specific details on how it's going forward, what happened, and what their plans are for the long term. So once I have that, I'll share that back with the community and the council. Forest Ave construction started today. It is leading into what I'm going to say is going to be an interesting week. In fact, a resident even pointed it out to me in a spirited way today, but all in good fun. But we are doing Forest Ave for a paving project. The bridge will be shut down for one day in Old Town as they begin an inspection review that we posted online. And of course, this is the primary move-in week to the University of Maine. So traffic's going to be interesting here for the next few days. We've done a lot to notify the public. If you hear anything, please direct them to us. We'll do our best. It's the timing of the events that we're beyond the control of town staff, but we're doing our best to mitigate the impact on the
What day is
community.
traffic Armageddon? 24th? Or no?
Wednesday, yes. The
Wednesday.
26th is the day the bridge will be 100% closed, both for all traffic, and they will have to use this bridge or go up and around.
And we're gonna be doing the Forest Ave paving. It starts today. It started today.
Yes, and they will not be done by the end of day
So
Wednesday.
perfect storm. I don't know. We'll come up with something, but we got a day. Okay.
Yeah.
We're a day and a half from that.
Well, we've,
What, 2 more
all the
weeks?
notices have been out. UMaine's notified,
What?
MDT's notified, we've notified. There's not much else that can be done beyond where we are. We can't build a road that doesn't exist, so we're doing our best.
Is this the floating work from home day?
Feels like,
I don't know.
can we make it can we declare a work from home day? No,
Take public,
not for you guys. You guys come on in. You guys are essential.
Wait a minute, no, that's fair. You know, it's gonna be equity, transparent, you know,
right.
take public
no, I don't know.
transportation day.
Thought of that. Interesting theory. Yeah, we can see if we can put something out. We're saying, you know, at least during the high commuting times, try to find another commuting time would be great. If you could go in earlier, go in late, or come back earlier, come home late, that would be probably be beneficial. I don't know. We're
Yeah.
gonna see.
Yep, I get it.
Okay. Yep.
I'm glad you did what you did.
Update on the sewer bids going out to bid as outlined. The tax commitment and mill rates being finalized right now with staff. It looks like we are not 100%, but 99% certain it will be a mill rate of 22.1 with an overlay of about 153,000, which meets the goal of 150. And it is a significant jump, but it's completely commensurate with what was going on with the spending increases. There is no major changes to value. I will say staff's got a nice process where we review all the major changes both up and down so that we assure and have a third party review. So things are looking pretty good as we go into commitment. I shouldn't say third party, third set of eyes. The public trash receptacle came up here. We have got a new trash receptacle at Webster Park, but it has opened up the bigger issue that we got to look at all of them. We got a town-wide kind of thing, and we're going to probably move that towards the capital plan. CSX will be showing up on September 28th to finally get underneath do the flagging so we can put the drainage underneath the railroad tracks to finish the Webster neighborhood project, which to my personal consternation is spanning 3 fiscal years. But I seem to be the only one besides maybe Zach, who also is like, gosh, another fiscal year for this. But
I think all of us on Webster side are with you there, Clint. Does that mean that when that happens, then the paving can finally move forward, the final paving, once that part gets done? Okay.
and the paving is actually closer to being ready. That was just a timing issue that the contractor, they wanted to come in later in the summer. So they'll be there soon. I did have a resident appeal a decision of the tree board. I gave it a thorough review. It was tough. We're going to go back again next year and look some more, but I did not grant the appeal. I've supported the decision of the tree board and the tree warden. It was a moderate tree. It was tough. This one is I get understand why it's a particularly difficult moderate tree, but we have many, many moderate trees. And I got to make sure that whatever the rationale would be defensible for any future appeals. And at least needs another year to make sure.
If you overturn them, does it come out of your budget, the manager's office budget?
Yes, I funded 100% of not cutting the tree. So couldn't resist that. I don't know where, actually now it's looking that we go all to the tree budget. So part of this is we do budget more than what we're required to be a tree city. You're supposed to do 1% of, there's a calculation. If you look at their website, it's 1% of the total allocation to a certain expenditure line. So I think we're well over it with what we're funding for tree removals. We always could do more.
Yep.
I did want to update you. I will be attending the ICMA conference. That means I will be missing the October 19th meeting, but I've always worked that out with staff. And then the one that's not here is you did bring up, and I did want to just say that it is the main Hello Week. It does really signify to me in my third August here now that August is a busy month. And it brings a lot of unique ideas and issues to us, but it's a great experience. I would also say, got to experience the move-in Maine with a family member moving into Acadia Heights, which was an experience as well, and very well run by them. Very coordinated efforts. It's interesting to see that type of move-in approach. But overall, I think things are going. It was noticeable on Friday that the traffic is up. Just that quick with kids moving in and coming back. Friday was a noticeable uptick in traffic counts. So, when you can feel it, it's having an impact, and I felt it that day. So there, that's it. Any questions?
You missed the election one that you had on your report. Yep.
Go last, and I had it in my notes. Yes. So we are in the last 2 weeks as of today for nomination papers for the school board and the council. I do want to say that the staff will be putting it out again for people to do their nominations. If there's others out there, we always are looking for candidates. It's important that we have that. The more choice leads to us meeting probably the mission of diversity, equity, and inclusion, because you have more choices of who's running for your offices. If you've ever thought about it, staff will not support you or oppose you, but we will give you the information necessary to inform you on what it means to be a town councilor. If you haven't read the council's nominations report on the procedures manual for the council, I would definitely say look at that. That's a very thorough document of what it means to be a town councilor in Orono. And if you have questions of the school board, I would suggest you talk to the school board about that vacancy before calling us. Okay?
Didn't say a word. Excellent. That's all right. Back to the agenda. Thank you. I love these. These are great. Next up is, I have a paper one right here. Public petitions. We have none. Future agenda items and council requests for supporting items. Anybody have any? Andrea.
With all of the talk about the Wabanaki outreach, it's made me curious, what type of staff training is there that's completed, whether it's monthly, quarterly, annually, in regards to working with residents with disabilities, whether it be hard of hearing, on a spectrum, mental health issues? I'm sure there is training, but I'm just curious as to how that works.
I can get more information for you. It would be unique to departments based upon interactions. I mean, obviously the police has very specialized training in those regards, but if you want to get some information, I could put together some pieces for you, what it is, across the many different departments we're working with. Is that helpful? Something the council wants? Yep.
Yeah. All right. Good. I've got a couple. Anybody else have anything? Yep. Main Day Internet, when we were at the, when Chief Merrill invited me to come to the command center last year, I know we had some challenges with the Legion Hall's internet's not super great and resilient. So I wanted to raise that question as we get ready to begin capital planning and things like that. It seems like would be a good investment in our responsiveness to that event. And also ask, would love to hear back from the town about anything else you need in support of the safety. And Brian, look at you two, looking at you too, Brian, right? Anything you need, right, on main day, it's important. So please let us know. And correspondence, I think it would make sense for the council to weigh in with some of our federal or state regulators on these traffic incidents we've had. So you're going to hear from CSX. But I'd like to see us consider at our next meeting, perhaps a letter to the congressional delegation and maybe copying the appropriate, maybe the governor and the congressional delegation with any concerns or questions or learnings we have about these two different incidents, and outlining kind of what we've heard and what we expect in terms of reporting. Like the safety, the bridge collapse is like, they did a really good job, I thought, with their latest update from the Maine Department of Transportation. But I'd like to have something that I think we should consider going on the record with some of the concerns and questions we're going to have moving forward. I don't think the train incident is going to be, I'm happy to be happy. But I don't think or be satisfied with what Clint, you're meeting with is with CSX. but I think it'd be interesting to raise the point that, we had a major, an incident in our community, and if it happened a few hundred yards up on the track, it would have been, we've got 6 crossings, 7 crossings in our neighborhoods. And it seems it's unsettling to me that something like this can happen, and you just got to take the company's word for it that they're on top of it. But so if everyone's okay with it, I'm probably going to work with Clint on maybe a letter to synthesizing these 2 incidents and just have something for us to be on the record about in terms of what we've learned and what we think we should know in the future, and where we think maybe there are things that could be addressed. If the federal response to CSX is truly just, hey, meet with the town manager, the company meets with the town manager, and that's all there is to it. That seems like we should raise that with some people as being a little lacking.
Do we see it as advantageous to be tying these 2 events? I mean, I know they happen in quick chronological succession. I wonder if, you've probably obviously you put more thought into this than I have, just thinking about what you've raised right now. But I wonder if it seems like the more concerning element to me is exactly that sort of accountability piece from CSX and what we can expect. You've already alluded to the fact that I think we're appreciating the way that the communications about the bridge is being handled.
Yep.
I wonder if it might make more sense in targeted communications for what we're asking for from federal delegation, or making our opinions clear, whether it should be more focused on the railroad. But I'm just curious what you think about that.
I think it could very well be 2 different letters, and I think maybe the bridge letter is maybe a little more forward looking in terms of, hey, by the way, we've got a major construction project under Route 2 on Main Street for next summer, and the work you're doing on that bridge, we have these incredible, we're an island community, and we're bottlenecked by these bridges, and we're going to be digging up Route 2 next year and the year after that, hopefully with some major infrastructure improvements. The bridge is ongoing, and it's just important that they hear from us that we collaborate the very best. So we don't have this Armageddon day like we're going to have on Wednesday, right? Where Armageddon is not the right word. Somebody come up with a better word than that, but it rings true and it gets attention. But it's going to be a rough day for getting around Orono on Wednesday, and we don't want a whole summer of it. So.
Well,
These guys are working on some pretty good stuff down here. So
I just want to second that.
We need that pedestrian bridge that can take emergency vehicles over.
But thank you for putting a lot of thought into this. And regardless, I am supportive of us communicating at those various levels.
Yeah. Okay.
And I was just going to, I think those going through the state officials, particularly around the train, is really valuable, because there's some mechanisms within the state for investigations separate from federal investigations as well.
Yeah.
And if there's a way to access those, it would be great to do it, because I feel very similarly that a company reporting on itself is going to come out smelling like roses.
Yeah. Sure. Well, I've worked for industry in the past, and I'll be careful, but yeah. I don't think we're going to get the scrutiny that we get if they're, yeah. Okay, so we'll put a couple drafts together, and we could put them together as part of the agenda so people can look at them ahead of time, and we'll have to get some feedback. And these things are hard to do as a group, but we'll figure it out, and leaning on what the town manager is advising us in terms of the responsiveness that he's getting. But okay, that's it. So we did the main day. I asked for the main day stuff. Okay, anything else? Nobody else? Okay, public comment? Nope. Nope. Executive session. Do we have, we've got a couple things we're gonna do after executive session, right? So hang tight. Yep. All right. So we'll take we will come back into public meeting for action after executive session. We just have the A today. Oh, we do have 3. Sorry. So I take a motion to move an executive session pursuant to 1 MRSA 4056C regarding acquisition of real property or economic development involving 344 Kelly Road.
So moved. Seconded.
Moved and seconded. So we're gonna all those in favor? Yep. We're gonna move into the Rustic Room, and then we'll be back out here. Thanks. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Lori.
You okay?
Okay. We are back in from executive session. Thank you for all those who have stayed tuned with us. Once again, a hearty Maine hello. We have in front of us, and we'll need a motion on order 26-188, order authorizing expenditure up to, we want to do, all right, we'll just do them in the way they're in on the agenda, I guess. Order authorizing, order 26-188, order authorizing expenditure of up to $25,000 for a feasibility study of 344 Main Street with funds drawn from the Strategic Development Reserve. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Second, Clint, do you want to just give us a very quick, I know it's here, but
Yep, no, so the biggest thing here is an unbudgeted allocation. It is under the 50,000. I am recommending this forward with no competitive bid process. Sebago Technics has done all the design work on Route 2. This is a Route 2 related project. We're gonna have to work closely with Bax and MDOT. It is the right vendor to use for this one. If it had been much larger, I probably would have recommended a bid process, but this is more in the size and scale that we need to be adept and adaptable at just grabbing the company that's available. Their bid was 17.5, the additional 7,500, surveying costs and other testing that may come up during the project to just make sure it works. And maybe even some legal work to have an attorney draft the deed that would include any easements that we may want to put across for the parcel.
okay. Are there any clarifying questions? Any comments from the public? I'm seeing Cody's not seeing anything from Cody. Any further discussion? All those in favor of order 26-188, that is unanimous, 7-0. Take a motion on order 26-189, order allocating 400,000 towards the purchase of 344 Main Street with funds drawn from blank and blank. We'll deal with this once we get it on the table.
So moved.
And moved and seconded. Clint, you want to walk us through this and what your recommendations are for the funding allocation?
Yeah, so this purchase and sale has been publicly in front of the community at this rate. The council's now seen it, got all the information. This would authorize the funds to close. It is a $400,000 purchase price for 344 Kelly Road. The intent is to sell the house that's on it after we were able to design a better road entrance in there. What that would be is why you paid for the feasibility study in advance. All those monies that you would do, I would request you reallocate back up to these purchase prices, up to this amount into the funds they come from. You can do any percentage you want. Staff's recommendation, as we looked at it, was just to go 50% from unassigned fund balance, and then 50% from the downtown TIF district, because it has a transportation component, and we think they're all interrelated. But again, the intent would be to refund the funds back from whatever sale we could do. You would have to do this at a future meeting, but if there were ever profits above and beyond, the council would have to figure out where to allocate the profits. One idea would be putting it to strategic development reserve. That's one of the things we say when we sell land and make money, we should put it towards future development. But that's it.
Okay. Any comments from the public? Any further discussion? So I think we'd entertain an amendment based on what was recommended by the town manager, if that's where we are, but someone could, take it a different direction if they want. I will amend, I will move, that we amend motion or order 26-189 to, with the funds drawn evenly from, do you want evenly or do you want to say 50%? Okay, 50% from unassigned fund balance and 50% from the downtown TIF district. Do you want language in here now telling you to put it back evenly? No, we'll do that later. Okay. Is there a second to my motion?
Second.
Okay, second. Any discussion about the motion? All those in favor of the motion? That's unanimous. Any more discussion on the amended order? All those in favor of the order as amended? That is unanimous. Again. Excellent. And I think that's going to conclude the work we do in public tonight. Is that right, Mitch? Right? So we are going to go back into executive session and we'll adjourn, not in secret, but we won't be back online when we do it. So I'll take a motion to move an executive session pursuant to 1 MRSA section 40560 regarding labor negotiations.
So moved.
Okay. All those in favor? We're going to take the whole 15 minutes on this one too, just because he